Hello everyone! In this week's video, we're finally going to be able to go through my sketchbook. This sketchbook has taken me almost a year to complete, and I'm very happy to finally say it's done. This sketchbook actually doesn't have that many pages because it is an Etchr watercolor sketchbook. I don't remember how many pages it has, maybe I'll put it up on screen. This sketchbook has taken me a long time to complete, mostly because I've been busy. There's been a lot of life things going on. Last year I kind of jumped into the dating world and started dating and a whole bunch of other life stuff. I actually have my ring now. I'm engaged, if you didn't know. Also, I kind of hurt my thumb. That's why I have this tape on it. But yeah, we can start going through this sketchbook. As you can see, here's the cover. The cover was actually just white, kind of like this. But it was kind of dirty because it had been kind of left around and stuff. And I'm like, well, a bunch of random colors is probably better than it looking dirty. So I just plopped random colors. But yeah, so let's open the sketchbook. Here is the first page. I decided to just put a whole bunch of stickers here. A lot of times I like to decorate my cover with stickers, but I decided to just decorate in here with stickers. A lot of these stickers I kind of just got randomly, and some of them are made by me, or I got them from Rinspier Art. From her online store. So here's the first page. This was actually the last page I finished. I left the front page blank for a really long time because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up just painting a random flower and writing welcome and then the dates. So I started it on
January, February, March, April, May.
On May 23rd, 2022 and finished it April 8th, 2023. So it took almost a year to complete. And then, so here is the first spread we have. For a lot of the sketchbook, I liked painting random squares and then filling in the squares with kind of random things. At first, I was kind of just experimenting with colors and the watercolor paints. Like I said, this is a watercolor sketchbook, so it has watercolor paper. It's really thick and smooth because it's cold pressed. I really love the paper. It's super nice to work with. So yeah, these were just kind of some random doodles. This one was kind of inspired by Hollow Knight because I was playing it at the time. And then over here, I had put a whole bunch of paint and then kind of tried to see shapes within the paint. And I kind of ended up with this girl with cloud hair. So funny thing, I had actually gotten this as a Christmas gift and I randomly drew this in the late December of 2021. But then I kind of abandoned the book and forgot about it. So then when I came back to actually start this sketchbook, I did random swatches of watercolor paints that I had. And then I wrote the actual start date right here so I know when I actually started it. These were done with some different watercolors. I can't remember the names of them, but they're kind of a mix between watercolor and gouache. If that makes any sense, they're a little bit more thick. I actually wish I would have used them a bit more and tried experimenting with them more, but I kind of forgot about them. Also, the sketchbook's a little hard to go through because I keep having to hold the paper down. So sorry my hands kind of have to always be in frame, and sorry if they're distracting, but I have to hold the paper down. So this is actually one of my favorite spreads. I really like this one. Just the bright yellow is really nice, and I love the feeling of it. So over here we have a sunflower, and I tried doing some kind of abstract landscape sort of things. This one has kind of a lady walking in a field with a tree, and then we have a mountainscape kind of scene. And then over here, I didn't do any kind of sketch. I just went in straight with paint and painted some sunflowers and stuff. It's a little bit wonky, but I still really like this spread overall and just the feeling of it. This spread was really inspired by blues, greens, and teals. Like I said at the start of the sketchbook, I was kind of just playing around with colors and getting a feel for the watercolor paints. And I was also having fun with playing around with abstract landscape kind of things. So here we have a mermaid with a bunch of seaweed, and we have a kind of little dude on a dock, and he's fishing. And this was kind of supposed to be a person floating in water, and like some of the spots are coming out of the water. But I don't really feel like it looks like that. I feel like I kind of failed. On this page we have a kind of chibi elf mermaid. And I was wondering what my chibi elf characters would be like if they're mermaids. Because there probably are mermaids in the world that handle all of the underwater stuff. So I was kind of thinking about that. I also really like this spread because it just feels really different. I don't work with black paint very often. And I think this is kind of the only black spread that I have. but I kind of just painted things that seemed kind of ominous and a little creepy, kind of like the color black. So we have a crow and a tree, a moon in the night sky, a random eye, this kind of ominous figure, and then a bigger crow over here. This was actually really fun to do. I had fun playing with the shapes and the textures. So these pages feel a little bit more traditional to me, kind of like my usual sketchbook pages. Over here, I didn't do a sketch first. Once again, I went in straight with paint. And these are both paintings of my OC Samson. So we kind of have this one, and I didn't really like this one, so I felt like I needed to do Samson more justice. So for over here, I did an actual sketch, and then went in with watercolor paint. I actually still really like this one. I just really love the yellow paint. It's so bright and it really pops. It makes me happy. As you can see, we are now working with purple. I drew a girl with a butterfly on her eye. Honestly, this would freak me out so much if this happened to me. We have some lavender, and then a kitty on kind of a wall with a cityscape in the background. It's very tiny. I'll try to zoom in on it. For this, I saw a TikTok tutorial on how to paint jellyfish, and I thought it was cool. I wanted to give it a try, so I also painted some jellyfish. Oh, this page was really fun to do. So if I remember right, I did a whole bunch of splatters, and then I drew the girl. Or I drew the girl and did a whole bunch of splatters. I don't remember which order I did it in. But I thought the paint splatters was a lot of fun. I took my brush and I would whack it against my hand, so the paint would kind of go pew, 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 pew all over the page. And then all of this over here was kind of just because I felt guilty for leaving this empty. But it's just a kind of a bunch of light doodles that I don't really like. Now I'm working with pink, and I drew this boy here, this girl that looks like Faith, and this one also kind of looks like Brayson. Like, it kind of doesn't, but it kind of does. And then we have this flamingo and a random flower. This was actually a drawing of a flower that I saw when I went on my first date with my now fiance. I had taken a picture of it. They're these super cute, tiny pink and white flowers, and they were so adorable. And funny story about this one over here, I actually just did this one today because I was going through my sketchbook, just kind of flipping through it real quick, and this sketch was not finished. It was super rough, and I had planned to come back and finish it, but I never did because I didn't really like the sketch. But then when I was going kind of through it today, I was like, oh no, I never finished that one. So before filming, I sat down and tried to finish it, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out now. I was able to kind of fix some of the things I didn't really like and resketch it. And I feel like it turned out nicely. I feel like it's cute. I can still tell it's a bit wonky, but overall I like it. This page is kind of just a mess of things. I was playing around with different art supplies and trying different art hacks, if I remember right. So this was for like a TikTok thing, and this was for a TikTok thing, and then this was just kind of swatching random stuff. So yeah, kind of just a random page, but I do still really like this Kirby up here. He was done with acrylic paint and alcohol-based markers. Oh, I forgot about these. So these were just some random marker doodles. Apparently I was feeling kind of stressed or something. I don't remember what was going on, I'm gonna be honest. Ooh, okay, so this is actually one of my favorite spreads. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. But this one really, really is. I really like this one. It was one I did for a YouTube video. I think it was a drawing whatever the heck I want. And I used a wheel to decide which characters I draw. But one of the reasons I really like it is because all of the colors really go together, and I wasn't really trying to do that because we have all the yellows and the greens and the blues, and they just all feel really nice together. And I also really like how all the different doodles turned out, especially this little one of Sullivan. I feel like it's really cute. These were really fun pages to work on. I drew a bunch of girls with hats. So this girl kind of has a hat, and she's in like a grass field. This person, we can't see if they're wearing a hat, but it just kind of has a flower and she looks happy. This girl is laying in a grass field and her hat is taken off and it's to the side of her. This one here, I used a reference on Pinterest. I feel like my picture didn't really turn out like the reference if I remember right, but I did a similar hairstyle and pose and also a reference for the hat. I do really like this one. I wish I would have pushed the colors to be a little darker. I feel like everything is a little bit light and a little hard to see, especially on camera. But in real life it's pretty readable, but I still wish I would have pushed the values a little bit more. This one was also for a YouTube video. I still quite like it and the colors. I limited myself to these colors here, and I kind of mixed them all together to make this one. I always really like the feeling of it and the subtle hue shift in the leaves. This one was also a limited color palette. I only used this color and this color. I really liked this one before I outlined it. I outlined it using my watercolor brush, so the lines ended up being kind of thick, and then I didn't like it as much. But I still feel like it feels kind of cool, and I like the colors. I always find these pages to be a little bit funny because they kind of show the two sides of winter. There's the kind of happy, fuzzy, let's go outside and build a snowman kind of winter. And then there's the cold, sad winter. I actually really enjoyed working on this one and trying to capture the motion. To make the dots look like they're moving, I drew a whole bunch of dots and then took my water brush and kind of smudged them out, all going like this. And I feel like it really captured the motion. I remember I had taken a long break from my sketchbook. This is one of the few pages I had drawn in quite a while. This guy looks just kind of sad. I remember I was wanting to go with more bright poppy colors, but I ended up going with really dull colors. I wanted to go with something a little bit more like this. Which is why I switched over to the markers here. These were water-based markers. I always quite like this page and just all of the different pops of color, and it just feels very random and kind of fun. This was kind of another collage of things. I did random splotches of color. I had gone in with my water-based markers and scribbled and then used water to kind of blend them out. And then I just kind of drew random things in the splotches. I think it's funny that I did another cat in the nighttime with purple. Apparently, I associate purple with nighttime cats. I also always really like this landscape down here. There's like a super tiny girl, and then there's this landscape over here. I always feel like this one would be a fun concept to kind of flesh out a little bit more. On this page, I was kind of trying to draw in my hyper style traditionally, and I feel like it turned out kind of cute. I'm not a huge fan of how the texture turned out in some areas, especially on the nose, because I kind of messed up on the nose, and then I tried to fix it, but it kind of just made it worse. So yeah, I was trying to draw in my hyper style in my sketchbook. This was another limited color palette. I did red, purple, and blue, and I was very loose with the colors and kind of tried to keep things more abstract. I always really like the feeling of this page and how much the blue pops. Also, this hand is kind of technically not holding the flower. It kind of makes no sense, but let's not pay attention to that. I want to say their names and I know their names, but I'm afraid I'm going to say them wrong, so I'm just not going to say them. But these are characters from the webtoon After School Lessons for Unripe Apples. I really love this webtoon. The characters are so cute. These two are the main characters and I love them a lot. They're so adorable. It was really fun trying to draw them in my style. I also let myself work with color pencil a little bit more, and I really enjoyed getting to use the color pencil. I had used the wheel with all my OCs to draw a random character, and it actually didn't pick Pariah. It had picked a character next to it, but then I was like, aw, bummer. I wish it picked Pariah. And I was like, oh, that must mean I want to draw her, so I decided to draw her anyways. So yeah, I just did a whole bunch of doodles of her, and Mr. Froggy as well. And it might seem kind of random, but I drew little Luigi sketches over here. My fiance and I have been playing Super Mario Bros. Superstar Saga, I think that's what it's called. It's one of the Mario and Luigi games, and I've never played it before, but he played it a ton as a kid, so he's been showing me it, and I've been going through the game with him. So yeah, I drew Luigi because it's green, and over here used a lot of green. And plus, Luigi deserves more love. In the Mario and Luigi game, everyone's just overlooking Luigi, and I feel very bad for him. Also, my fiance and I went to go see the Super Mario movie, and I very much enjoyed it. I was smiling like the whole time because of all the different Mario references, and it was a very fun movie to watch. This page was also really fun to work on. I feel like I've said that a lot as well. But it was super fun. I had found some references on Pinterest, and I was going to add line art and stuff, but then I decided to just fill in the shapes of different colors and go for kind of a lineless look. And I really like the colors and how they all kind of go together. And I used the same colors over here. I decided to go with something a little bit more light and flowy over here, since over here felt a little bit more heavy, but not like super heavy, just like there's a lot going on. So I did a bit lighter stuff over here. Also, I realized I need to work on drawing hair when people are lying down. This was very tricky to draw, and it kind of doesn't make sense if you think about it too much. So that's something I need to work on. On this page, I also used my water-based markers a lot. I wasn't sure what to draw, and then I saw a green and a pink sitting next to each other, and for some reason I was just kind of vibing with them. So I decided to go with a green, pink, and black color scheme and make things kind of funky. I had fun drawing the kind of more edgy looking characters, and also just adding all of the random stuff to the background. Oh, so this next page is actually the final page. I wasn't expecting us to get to it so quickly, but like I said, the sketchbook isn't super duper long. It just took me a long time to get through it because I've been busy and not really prioritizing my sketchbook. And also my relationship with the sketchbook has been kind of weird, like I mentioned in my other videos. It is very nice watercolor paper, and because it is really nice paper, I felt a bit intimidated to work with it, and like I didn't want to waste it. But I was trying to get over that feeling and kind of just draw. But yeah. So anyways, here's the final page. Dun, 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 dun. I decided to draw something that went across both pages. And I was trying to think of a character I could put on each page. I decided to go with Candace and Sullivan. They are newer characters that I created. And so I thought it'd be fun to have them star as the last page in the sketchbook. And I have them holding a banner that says finished. And there's little confetti kind of going everywhere, and they both look happy. I drew them in a little bit more of a chibi style instead of my usual style, just to make things a little bit more simple and easier to work with, because they are pretty tiny on the page. And there is kind of this last page here. You can't quite tell on camera, but it's kind of dirty, and that's why I did everything on this page. And what's in this pocket right here? Oh, it's a paper. I forgot that there's a pocket. I thought about decorating this back area of stickers, but then I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll see them if they're in the back of the book, so I only did them in the front of the book. And I kind of want to save some of my stickers for my other sketchbook. So yeah, that is my sketchbook. It was a lot of fun to get to experiment with watercolor and watercolor paints. And I did really enjoy this sketchbook, even though it did take me a very long time to complete. And I hope you enjoyed looking through it with me. I have already started my other sketchbook, and I showed me doing some of the pages in it in another video. That sketchbook has a lot of pages, but the paper is a little bit more thin, and I don't feel bad about doing random derpy doodles in the sketchbook. So hopefully I'll be able to complete it a little bit faster and do another sketchbook tour for all of you. I'm hoping to try to build a sketchbook habit because I've kind of gotten out of sketching and my sketchbook habit, so I'm hoping to build one up here soon. But yeah, that is all for this sketchbook. I had a lot of fun going through it, and I hope you liked going through it with me. Oh, also, after flipping through the whole sketchbook, I think I've decided this is my favorite spread. I still just really love the flow of it and how it turned out and the colors. Although I do like a lot of the other spreads as well. So yeah, but before we end, I want to say a super big thank you to my super awesome YouTube members and Patreon patrons for their support. It means so much to me. And that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next week in my next video. Bye! I actually really enjoyed working on this one and trying to make it... Aww. Oh, my leg's going to sleep. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, pins and needles. Oh. Ow, ow. Ow. Oh, that hurt. Oh.